Hello there and welcome to the channel. Welcome back, perhaps. If it's your first time, you have joined us in the middle of something, or perhaps even towards the end of something. I've been over the winter holidays putting together some varying different things that we are combining to make a heavy metal clarinet project work. That's for the contrabass clarinet. Now, the fuzz we've been working with for a while. This is the Jackson Audio modular fuzz. What we were doing over the holidays, we were adding in some dry signal with the signal blender. We also worked on, before that, the Octave circuit in the fuzz, the modular fuzz. Then we added some noise gate. We had a fool around also with some compression with varying degrees of success. And we've got some more thoughts around that today as well. So yeah, today is going to be about bringing it all together. We've got our contrabass clarinet samples in the Wally Plus. Then we've got that going into the signal blender. The green channel is the dry signal, and the red channel will be the fuzz. So then from the signal blender going into the sentry, from the sentry into the compression. We did try compression after the contrabass clarinet samples. We weren't able to get the effects we were hoping for. It made much more sense after the fuzz. We're also hoping that with the shape that the sentry gives things, the compression will be more effective at the end there. That was one of the conclusions from that particular exploration. Okay, so we have the Fuzz Page Mark II module still installed in the modular fuzz from our last session. And that's a setting that we've been using. Maybe we'll be fine-tuning it. The plan is to have the sample, see how it sounds with the fuzz, so in other words, without any of the dry signal. Then to add the dry signal and blend the two. Now, another way of doing this might be to find a mix between the dry and the wet and then find a setting for the fuzz, but we're not going to get too much into that now. We might play around a little bit with an octave setting as an additional little thing, but we're going to try the first method where we use the settings that we've already got for the fuzz and then find the right blend. Then the sentry will be added, and then we will try the couple of ideas we've got for compression. So that's the approach we're going to take. Let's dive in and see where things go. So our first sample, this is Little Green Spirits. Here's the fuzz. Let's kill that. That seems to me to be a very nice balance. We added a little bit extra dry signal. I mean, that is one of the big things here is how much louder the signal is with fuzz, so it's not surprising that we have to add some of the dry signal. But I did like the extra boominess that adding in that dry signal adds to that, like the boominess that it brings. The fuzz sounds very cracked and distorted, and we like that. It's a nice effect, but for general stuff, like general playing, I do like that richness there as well. Now, the other thing is that is on our mind is gain stage. Gain staging. So, for example, what I need to figure out is whether it's better to have less volume here, actually coming out of the fuzz pedal, and using more volume here, or having more volume here and having it turned down here. So let's just experiment with that very quickly. We'll do a little gain staging experiment. We'll see what happens when we turn this down. We're just going to play with the fuzz for now. So. So I don't hear a heck of a lot of difference with the volume being up here and down here, or down here and up here. Although of the two, I think up here and down here is preferable. So there we go. Let's play around a little bit with the octave circuit. Now, first of all, on its own. So our general conclusion from when we were working with just the octave circuit, was that having the octave volume all the way up and playing with the blend knob was a good way of doing things, or backing the volume off a little bit and playing with the blend knob. That seems to be holding true. Let's see, though, what sounds best with the fuzz, because that's what we want to be using it for in this instance. Here we go. Okay, now using the octave with this particular fuzz, the Fuzz Page Mark II, I can feel the difference between using it with the other modules. It's like it's more volatile. It either doesn't affect it very much or it has a very strong effect. If I want it to be a noticeable difference, I have to be very careful how I set it up. The other thing that I'm trying to bear in mind here is that I will be mixing this with the dry signal. So maybe that's what we should move on to and then come back to the octave, because some of the punch that we lose from the fuzz circuit when we add the octave, especially when it's a nice strong octave, I do believe we'll maintain when we've got the dry signal in there. So let's find a balance and then see what it sounds like with the octave. difference. Let's just try the octave on its own. That's interesting. It's just kind of like a boost, I guess. Although you can hear the octave in there. But, yeah. I think if we were going to use just that, that would be nice. Yeah. I mean, if it was just the octave, that's lovely. With this. Basically, it's a little bit too spitty. It's a little bit too spitty with the fuzz. It was lovely how the sentry works nicely there. But like, if we are using the octave, we can back that off a little bit. Okay, so if we were using the octave sound in this setup as the basis for adding some interest, I think we would want these guys boosted. But if we're using it as something to kind of like add interest to the fuzz, we definitely want it a little bit more balanced, a little bit softer. Yeah, I'm really loving how this is coming together. We've got the volume there. The wet is at unity gain, and the dry is at a unity gain is 2 o'clock, and the dry signal is at like 4. Bumping that up really seems to work well with this fuzz page Mark II. So yeah, I'm feeling good about this. Let's see about adding the sentry. tight. Are we losing anything? It's hard to tell. Okay. There does seem to be some noise getting through there. That's not ideal. Not ideal at all. But to be honest, I'm not sure. Like, it's definitely adding some great shape to things there. Like, we're hearing the silences much more prominently. I'm not sure what we're losing though in order to get that. Yeah, but still, it's like, this is a very interesting journey, it has to be said. And doing this for clarinet is, yeah, it's like, I don't have any role models, basically. And I guess I'm kind of figuring things out from scratch for myself. And I'm sure it's not too different from guitar stuff. But at the same time, not coming from that world, I still feel like I have a lot to learn. So let's keep going with this particular module. I mean, I think the setting that we've got here is great. I'd like to try some different samples. I'm finding the balance is very nice here. Let's have a little listen and maybe play around with some compression. So what about the hiss mode? Yeah, even that. I mean, what are we losing? Okay. So, I mean, excuse me. So, I mean, clearly the sentry is doing an important job here. And it might be different with, I mean, this is a particularly noisy fuzz. And I mean, maybe that's an amount of line noise that we're willing to deal with for this particular thing. Okay, let's keep going with this particular sample, and then we'll listen to some others. We'll mess around with the sentry, we'll mess around with the compression a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem like too much line noise. Okay, we've got the compression set up now, and we kind of have two different approaches, like having played around with compression and maybe gotten a better idea of what it's all about. It seems like there's two ways that we can use it. The first is to set it so that it is something where, for example, if we suddenly are playing the clarinet louder, or if we suddenly push the volume, or we go into a higher register where the sound is picked up more strongly by the microphone, there won't be strong jumps in volume. The other way to use it would be to have it as an kind of always on kind of thing, like always affecting, so that it's so that the threshold is always squashing things a little bit and using the makeup volume to kind of like choose the volume. And in that case, it would mean that we wouldn't go beyond a particular volume, or at least it wouldn't, like, we could using the ratio, we could squash those extremes of volume in, but it would be like a consistent, it would make everything more consistent. So we'll try the first one first and boost the signal using the signal blender and see what effect it has. So let's dive in and see. Unity gain. Even bringing the threshold down a little, we get some response. We could bring the volume of these guys down, but I'm happy to leave it like this. Okay, let's try something. Okay, you can hear how that works. That's pretty much the idea. That, I think we would want to spend a little bit of time working on its own, but that approach does seem, you know, particularly valid. Like, you could hear how when I was pushing the volume with this, how this was how the compression was catching it and not making it too intense. That would be good, especially if I was getting into like loud overtone stuff on the clarinet, the squeakies and that kind of thing that we like so much. Let's try the other approach, where we'll bring the threshold up to a consistent level, and we'll use the makeup volume. We could have used that just now, actually, I think, but yeah, let's go. You can see how it's kind of an always on kind of thing there. Okay, I think that's an interesting experiment to have done there, and I do feel that both of those approaches have got merit to them. Yeah, the second one there, you could hear how when I was boosting the fuzz signal from the signal blender, it wasn't having that much of an effect on the overall volume, other than giving us a lot more white noise or kind of like hiss in there. But the first one was interesting too. It was good to have those that added volume kind of squashed. There we go. And I do see the advantage of that whole makeup volume on the compression there. I mean, technically I could really squash things and boost up the makeup there and have a very consistent volume. Yeah, it's something to think about there. And I mean, then there's the blend knob, which would allow me to add in some dynamics. I mean, there's a lot of room for exploration there, I think, with the compression and those two different approaches. So for now, I think what I'm going to do is turn off the compression and just run through some different samples with this setup. So let's go.